Hi, my name's Suzanne Ellingham. I'm the event director for Source Fashion. I'm here on site to do some very special editions of Honest Not Perfect. And today, the pleasure of being joined by James Sleater, who is the owner of Buffalo Systems.
Yeah, well, one of the owners. Yeah,
one of the owners. And we're going to talk a little bit about your journey with Buffalo, but also what led you to Buffalo and what excites you. So James, tell me a little bit about what you're up to now with Buffalo.
So Buffalo's been going since the 70s, late 70s.
Yeah.
And it has an amazing history and heritage. It invented Pertex, which is a material used by almost every single outdoor brand going, but it has the authenticity that it was the OG. It created it. Hamish Hamilton, who founded Buffalo, was a sort of madcap inventor, terrible businessman, but an amazing inventor. And he invented one of his things was Pertex.
Can I ask a really silly question? What makes Pertex special?
Well, so you've heard of Gore-Tex. Mm-hmm. Gore-Tex is designed to be waterproof, and it's a wonderful product for that. But if you're doing anything with any sort of serious intent of exercise, it also stops the water travelling out. And as you get sort of hot and bothered as you're climbing a mountain or walking your dog around Battersea Park and you get hot, because our jackets are quite warm, you actually want water to travel both ways. You actually need it to travel out. So the whole premise of our system...
So it allows the moisture to go both ways.
Yeah, so the whole premise of the Buffalo system, which is the company name, is that there's a 2-layer garment. So you don't have to have a base layer, a underlayer and all these things. You really actually just meant to wear the jacket onto naked skin. So it takes your sweat away and wicks it away and allows it to travel through Pertex. So you don't want a waterproof garment. So it's there's a place for both, I suppose. If I was being fair. But in my heart, there's only but Pertex is infinitely better.
You're allowed to have favouritism when it's...
Well, I do actually.
Good, you should do.
Yeah.
So what you mentioned, obviously, Buffalo Systems has been around since the 70s.
Yes.
Madcap Embed. What made you get involved?
So I own a number of businesses, all in the manufacturing space. My main business is actually the formal wear side of things. I own 3 different tailoring companies.
Does that keep you busy?
It keeps me too busy. Yeah. I'm a slave to work, which is a good and a bad thing.
Yeah.
But I own 2 tailoring companies on Savile Row. So I'm at heart a manufacturer. And I guess in the formal wear space, this presented itself just as an exciting opportunity. I'd looked at Buffalo for years, worn it for years and years and years, and just thought, why is this brand not bigger? Because those that know about Buffalo will wax lyrical for hours about how it's the best garment they ever wear. And I've got so many real world examples where people have stopped me in the street going, "Oh, you've got a Buffalo. That's amazing. Let me tell you how I got mine." Not knowing who I am,
really
obviously.
Do that?
Yeah, really happens the entire time. And it's lovely. But I think there's been a problem that Buffalo, we manufacture all our own clothing, and we do all of it in Sheffield. So there's been a scalability problem. We only bought the business about 9 months ago, and in that time have just seen this absolute massive increase of demand, which we can come on to. But it was been very much limited that it didn't seek VC money, and we're not wanting to go down that route by any stretch of the imagination, or and go on this mad sort of brand building drive. We want to grow in a considered right way with sustainable growth and not be a sort of flash in the pan. I mean, we've been going since the 70s, we're not a flash in the pan, but we don't want to be a hype brand. We don't want to just
sometimes there's a beauty in keeping things small.
Yeah. And but traveling in the right direction where we only make whatever it is. When we bought the business, making about 10,000 jackets a year, and our aims are obviously a lot larger than that, but we want to have the same process. All of our garments be made on the same process, where they're made by absolute skilled technicians, that every single garment goes through its QC process, that they're made with an authenticity that was founded when Hamish sort of set the business up.
Yeah, sounds interesting. When you say, I'm interested in the scale question, because I feel like when people buy brands, it's one of the first things that they want to do is scale it, make it. What is giving you caution of doing that? You mentioned the challenges with it, but those are challenges I suspect could be overcome. How do you feel about that? Do you think it's going to be a slow and steady journey?
Firstly, I want it to be slow-ish and steady-ish, but obviously it is a business, and we need to it needs to be a going concern. I own the largest tailoring company in the UK called Cad and the Dandy, and tailoring is probably the very definition of a very hard to scale business because it's so reliant on craftspeople. It takes 5 years to train to become a tailor. And so there's such a lag time and a chicken and egg situation. Do you have the orders or do you have the staff, to make the garments? And you have to kind of find that perfect ratio between the two where you're not taking on too much risk. We need to be relatively cautious at Buffalo from a growth perspective, because I don't want to get into that cycle of we have the cyclical nature of an outdoor brand where we sell most of our product autumn winter. As you might expect, and that makes you vulnerable. It's cash that kills most businesses, not anything else. Not managing your cash flow. So how do we survive our lean months? Lean months being the hot months, because you not necessarily wearing an outdoor jacket. And so the bigger you grow and the more you make in the winter means that on the reverse of that, your cash is much more at risk during those quieter periods. So it is about steady, considered growth, that we're not overexposing, that we know our levels, that we know that we can sell the product.
I think also with you having a limited run, you do get those stories where somebody can tell you, let me tell you when I got mine. Or when they got
exactly.
And I think when you're building a garment that you want and can last a lifetime, it's like you don't necessarily want people buying one a year. I mean, obviously you do, but also there's part of this is a garment that's built to last. We want you to love it. We want you to cherish it. And I mean, I'm assuming, and this is an assumption, that there is aftercare and repair built into Buffalo Systems as well.
Absolutely.
How important is that?
It's at the heart of what we do. I mean, we don't build in obsolescence into anything that my business has made. We don't build in any obsolescence, which is wonderful, because we know our garments are going to go on for 30, 40 years. But there's a finite number of garments. Unless you're me, I've got 200 suits. So I have a really unhealthy addiction.
Well, like you said, you do own a few tailoring busineses, and there's got to be some perks to the job.
Well, there has to be a perk of the job, and that definitely is one of them. Although my wardrobe space is always bursting. It's I think making things the right way and not falling into that cycle of fashion. And I was having a conversation with one of our wholesalers who's sitting on quite a lot of our stock. And he's like, of all the brands that I hold stock of, I don't mind sitting on yours, because I know next year the prices are going to go up because of inflation, from our retail prices to wholesale. But he doesn't mind, because we're not going to be discounting them. They're not last season's products. They're an ongoing, perennial item that we manufacture every year. By the way,
I feel that one of the biggest challenges with retailer sales. Because I think we do have a challenge with overproduction. I think there's a huge challenge with waste. I mean, I think we talk about the stat a lot. 40% of what's made for the UK is never sold. It's like, that's a disgustingly huge amount.
It's huge. I didn't know it was that high.
Yeah, it is. And there's millions and millions of unworn, perfectly new garments sitting in warehouses in the UK. Millions, tens of millions. So I think to hear you say, we're building things to last. Anyway, going back to my point about sales, I think it's hugely damaging, because what you're doing is you're perpetuating a model where you don't have a full price strategy. You don't have a full price strategy. How can you build profit into your business?
And you often get people that wait for sales. So the same in my tailoring businesses, we've never discounted. We've never sold anything at a discount. If you buy 100 suits, it's the same price as if you buy one. I don't want to piss off the customer who has bought the 100 by giving the person that buys one a discount.
So it holds the value of your business and brand.
Exactly. And in the tailoring side, obviously everything is made on commission. So it means that there is no waste. And so at Buffalo, one of the first things we did, largely because we needed more product, and we needed to fine tune who and what sizes and what colorways, we launched a program called Commission Kit. So if it was out of stock, you could commission us to make it for you, and then we would deliver it within 3 weeks. And so again, we just remove the wastage, remove the sort of slippage of oversupply, and just try and build the business in a sort of carefully considered way, and make the right product for the right person. And
I'm quite curious, because hearing you talk about the tailoring businesses and how important the waste elements and the circularity side of it is, which is what I'm hearing. Where did that come from? So that's not inherent in everyone. A lot of people who own larger businesses, it is about volume, it's about profit, it's really just about driving the sales side. That doesn't sound like that's the key motivator for you.
Well, I think you can chase profit and margin, but you can also do it responsibly. I don't think it's binary. I don't think it has to be either or. You can have rapid growth and do it in the right way, or you can have slow, steady growth and do it in the right way. Or you can just be happy with your lot and sort of say, I'm a tailor, one-man band, and I'm just going to make 5 suits, and I'm kind of done with that. I think there's a beauty in it. But can't remember who I was speaking to yesterday about sort of flash in the pan fashion brands that often you get hype in New York of. I remember about 5 years ago, maybe a bit longer than that. I remember just blinking when the moment it started raining, you blink, and every single girl around you was wearing bright colour Hunter Wellies, and they were like a real flash in the pan moment in New York. And now you just don't see them anymore, and that's great for a business. Obviously, there's a huge demand for you, but then where does it go?
Yeah.
How do you sustain that? And you don't want the sustain to be, let's launch another product, let's do another colorway, let's just give more shit into the world.
Yeah.
Let's just make the best product.
Chasing a fad.
Yeah.
Which is not
exactly. Good. And tailoring has never been in fashion, it's never been out of fashion, it's just always there. We can nod in the direction. So, pinstripe suits for the last 15 years, no one was wearing them post 2008 financial crisis. But now all of a sudden, because fashion is slightly cyclical, everybody is now wanting pinstripes. And so we have to occasionally doff our cap towards the sort of fashion trends. But we want to make in Buffalo and in Canada Dandy and Norton and Sons, my other businesses, my other tailoring company on Savile Row, just products that are going to last a lifetime.
Yeah.
And if we are too far to a fad or too far to a fashion, you've built in that obsolescence.
Yeah, it's one of, I think I've got two bugbears with fashion. Number one is sales. I think they're incredibly harmful. The other one is how trend-led it is and how fad-led it is. And I remember when we started the show a few years ago, I do press interviews, and one of the first questions I always got asked is, what's the trend for this season? And my answer was always the same. I don't want to talk about the trend for this season. I want to talk about how we need to move towards making things better to last. And then, you know what? The trend can be, what do you accessorize with? I'd much rather see that being a trend. So now, and I did get asked this question yesterday, and they got my old answer. And it was like, I don't really want to talk about trends. It's like, let's talk about the trend towards making things to last.
Exactly.
And I think that's what's important. Oh, your coffee just appeared and you can't have
whiskey,
it.
Actually.
It's just gone. That could be a whole conversation on its own. Are you an Islay or a Highland man? Do you like the blended or the whiskey? My husband's a massive whiskey fan.
Anything, actually.
And I think it's one of those things. Now, do you feel that there is, or are you seeing more of a movement towards people really wanting to buy better? Do you feel that we're starting to turn a corner away from those fads?
Yeah, and I think there's an increase in demand in traceability. So, even in the woolen trade, a lot of our suppliers are now, tracing the wool, from source in Australia and New Zealand, and actually having the like when you buy your strawberries in Sainsbury's, it will say Farmer Giles grew these, and actually having some level of traceability.
I think the digital product passports would be great for that.
Yeah, exactly. And the younger generation, my daughter's 11, and I was told I was coming today to talk, and she was telling me how many liters of water it takes to make a pair of jeans, and the younger generation, an 11-year-old child is interested in this stuff, and I think that's the future is having an awareness, because as you said at the beginning, 40% of clothes destined for the UK are ending up in landfill, or never sold is just it's ridiculous.
And I think what we're seeing with the younger generation, well, at least I would like to hope this, and certainly from speaking to my niece who's now 18, is they're obsessed with secondhand, pre-loved. It's like they'll go there first because ultimately it doesn't cost any more than buying it new, and actually they quite like the fact that it has been worn and it isn't brand new,
and has a story and has patina and character. And that's the wonderful thing, going back to repairs that we do at Buffalo or at Cad and the Dandy, is that repair that we do actually sort of tells a story. And we've had we've had so many garments sent back in from soldiers who have been in contact IOD device, or been shot or and damaged, and we actually save those holes and put a panel over the top so the garment doesn't lose its story.
I'm going to ask you a different question now. Because that's piqued my interest, who are your Buffalo, who are the people who buy your jackets? Like, who is your community?
In all honesty, it's quite. Originally, I think a lot of it went to the military, and so there's still an incredible amount of military made for special forces and sniper teams and lots of broad protection units, armed response. Lots of that, and then people like me that walk. I'm not a sniper.
Really good.
I just sort of walk my dog around Battersea Park. So, it's a garment that's it's a bit like a Range Rover, right? In the sense that a Range Rover is built to go off road, but most people are using them on the road. And I don't think there's anything wrong with saying that. The jackets can do whatever you want them to do. You can go and I'm going to the Cairngorms next week to go and spend the night in a snow hole. and I'll be in a buffalo sleeping bag and a buffalo jacket, and I'll be perfectly warm.
Perfectly warm and toasty.
So occasionally I put them into real world use.
Well, I feel like there's got to be some kind of real world Q&A, you know,
exactly,
QC.
Exactly.
Where would you like Buffalo to go?
I think I'd like it to be, Barber is one of those brands that, everybody knows it, everyone heard of it. Everybody's probably had one at least one point in their life. And there's another garment that doesn't really, die, and actually it gets better with wear. And I'd kind of like Buffalo to be the sort of standard default. You're going to go out, it's a shitty weather, sorry for swearing, a bad weather day like we've got the rain today. Your default jacket is a Buffalo.
Yeah.
That's
good. Where do you see... I mean, Barber has that heritage, but what I really love about what you've just said is that all of your jackets are made in Sheffield. How important is it to you that we do support the local manufacturing in that region?
I mean, it's hugely important to me as an individual, but also for the business. One of the things when we bought the business from Sue and John, the previous owners, that we had a guarantee with them, hard cast guarantee, that we would not make anybody redundant, that we would honour and respect all the staff. And we've I think we've added 40% more staff into the business since we bought it, which is quite a lot if you think that we only bought it. And we've got very finite pockets, obviously.
No, but that's an investment in skills.
Very much an investment in skills, and luckily in Yorkshire there still is a talent pool there of that. Sadly, another manufacturer down the road went under, and we managed to absorb some of their staff and work with them about taking on some of their machines and their most skilled workers and things. So that's been fantastic. But we want to grow it out.
Yeah.
The authenticity of the brand is that it's made in the UK, and the easiest thing for us to do would be to manufacture it overseas.
Yeah.
And certain things as we expand as a business, we might, I don't know, let's just say if it's T-shirts or knitwear or socks or a super tech product, those things we might have to, look overseas. But I never, ever want to veer away from my commitment to British manufacturing and the commitment that we've got to Sheffield and the commitment to the authenticity of the brand. I don't want to strip it out for the sake of earning an extra pound. It's not who I am. It's not who we are. It's not what we want to do.
And that's one of the reasons I was quite excited to talk to you. So I feel quite strongly about British manufacturing, which might feel a little bit ironic that I run an international sourcing show. But I feel we have to support our British manufacturers.
We do.
I feel that it's a very tough marketplace, and we also need to make them visible as well.
Yeah.
We have some amazing manufacturers in the UK, and we have some amazing craftspeople and skill sets. And I think it's important that companies like yours specifically are taking that time to invest in people so that we can keep those skill sets and keep that kind of talent coming through. They need employment. They have to go somewhere.
Yeah.
And I also feel that there is more of a movement. And you know what? I say this every year, and it's a hope and a dream. But I do think there is a movement to a lot more brands and retailers wanting to have more manufactured in the UK. And every year I say this, and it's like, how big is that say-do gap? Like, what are they saying? What are they doing? But I do genuinely, it's different conversations this time. Do you think there is a movement towards more brands and retailers actually pulling some production back to the UK, or do you think it's just?
When I grew up in Leicestershire, and almost every single person that I grew up with's family were in manufacturing, and mainly in hosiery, knitwear, socks, and almost all of those factories. There's actually only one of my friends from my childhood whose family is still in manufacturing, and still manufacturing in the UK. 300-year-old knitting business. And everybody when I was growing up used to, one father, he made just the collars for rugby shirts and made them for every single, sports team, but also every single, big brand name that we could reel off. But sadly, all of these companies, not all of them, but most of them, fell guilty of the lack of the Britishness of just lack of self-promotion. And the Italians are very good at it. Wow, we're amazing, and let's use family friends of mine, the Laura Piana family. Laura Piana, huge textile business, and now owned by LVMH, because they trumpeted themselves. And I'm not saying that that's what we want to try and do as Buffalo or other British brands, but the Italians and the French and the Spanish have just been much better at branding and promotion and being proud of what we do. Yeah. Sometimes we can just be too British and just sort of being under the radar. So I was trying to find a hockey shirt for manufacturing for one of our companies and having it made in the UK. And I can't find one. And they're out there because I know other people are having them and I know other people are making them.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. You know, when I bought Buffalo, you couldn't buy a Buffalo product from Buffalo, which is mad.
How was it through resale?
Yeah,
retail,
so everything,
wholesale?
the whole business was sold wholesale into retailers, the old-fashioned retailing model of where you'd sell your product into a shop in the Cairngorms, a shop in Wales, a shop in London, and you have market spread like that. But then the internet came along. But Buffalo had such a level of authenticity that they wanted to still support those retailers, but very much at the expense of themselves. So they were operating on a bit, wholesale margin of 33%, I think it was, which by definition is really going to curtail your ability to grow as a business.
Yeah,
because
it also curtail what you growth as a business, but also R&D and development as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially if you were founded by, as you put it, Mad Hat inventor.
Yeah.
It's like you want them to be inventing new materials. So where is the next innovation? How do you make it lighter, stronger, more effective?
Yeah, exactly. Is putting the money back into the business to do the next thing.
Yeah.
And so that's what every penny that we make now goes back into spring summer development, so we can stimulate that sort of fall off in sales that we expect the business to have in the high seasons. And if you don't have that working capital, you can't develop, and then that puts you at risk.
Yeah. I always think it's quite nice, actually, because quite a lot of the times when I talk to people on these sessions or podcasts, we talk a lot about R&D, but it's actually quite refreshing to hear you talk quite openly about the need and the obvious need for a good cash flow.
Yeah.
It's like actually that, cash is the lifeblood of a business.
Exactly.
And without it won't work. And actually taking a more practical approach to that is actually quite nice for somebody to say it, because we don't hear it that much.
Yeah.
But I think fashion is incredibly cyclical. I think it is incredibly up and down. And if you're lucky enough to have a base where you have some kind of, I wouldn't say predictability, but stability. Yeah. It's quite a reassuring place to be.
Yeah, for sure.
What about the Buffalo customers surprises you? Is there anything that surprises you about them?
Amazing how many. So I don't know if you know, but I bought the business with Ben Fogel.
Mm-hmm. How did that happen?
I've known Ben for 15 years. He was a customer of ours on Savile Row. And he came to me 2 years ago or something and said, look, I'm wanting to wind down a little bit of my television work, because he travels relentlessly. He's in Chile at the moment. He comes back for our trip to the Cairngorms. He's back for like 3 days and he's off again.
Is he looking forward to his Buffalo sleeping bag?
Yeah, well, he's probably got about 5 actually. Every time I go up there, stock's missing. So I've forgotten your question in all of that. How did Buffalo come along or something?
Yeah, you and Ben, friends.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry, I do that on purpose.
So he just sort of said, look, I really want to think of my next thing. Yeah. My next thing. And I really love clothing, and have I got any ideas? And could he invest in my business? I said, so actually, it's not really. I don't think it's workable. I've no need to really sell any of that off. But look, why don't we look at this other business called Buffalo? It's my favorite outdoor brand. His favorite outdoor. I won't wear any label.
Yeah.
And it's the only time I've broken the rule for the last 10 or 15 years. The only label you ever see me wear is Buffalo. Yeah. And because I often find that a label attaches you to a club, that you can sort of slightly tell. I was going to say it's a brand then.
You can absolutely say it if you want to.
No, but, there's other outdoor brands that I sort of associate.
Other brands are available.
Other brands are available. Other outdoor brands that are sort of competitors to Buffalo that I sort of associate with guys going to rugby wearing really bad light tan colour shoes. And I don't want anybody to ever think that I'm going to be attending the rugby wearing I sound like such a don't I? But you know what I mean? No, but you know what I mean.
I know exactly what you mean. It gives you that ability to
put yourself into that club. I'm going to shame my brother. He was wearing a pair of diesel jeans the other day as a 48-year-old guy. And I always think, I don't know, isn't that for a younger person? I don't know. That's what a label does.
Yeah, true. I suppose it's the perceptions that come...
wearing diesel jeans in their 50s.
Hey, it's perceptions that come across with a label.
It is. And I like being sort of slightly under the radar and people not knowing really where I got it. And that's hard for a brand, I guess, because as an ideal world, we'd have Buffalo like this, on our product. But there's something understated and that's the Savile Row suit. We never have a label on it.
Yeah. And people just see the quality.
People see the quality. And up until 20 years ago, on the inside of the jacket, we didn't even have labels.
Yeah.
So you didn't know. It was the secret of the owner of the suit, of who made it. There's a film, A Good Life, Is it A Good Life or A Good Year with Russell Crowe?
Okay.
And there's a young Russell Crowe, like a 9-year-old boy, and Albert Finney's playing his grandfather, and he says, listen, the most important thing you can ever own is a blue suit. But more important than the blue suit is the man that made it for you.
Yeah.
And guard his name with your life. And so there's always that hard scalability in tailoring because it was your dirty little secret. You didn't want to tell everyone why you look so good.
Yeah.
And
because
having an inside label at least on a suit helps, people as you hang the jacket up or whatever. But, British manufacturing has always sort of fallen short on that word of mouth.
Because
reliance.
it is that maybe behind the curve in terms of understated versus overt branding?
Yeah, I always ask everyone, name one British global brand apart from Burberry. It's so hard. They don't exist.
Not within fashion. To be fair, the first thing that came to head was Temperley. Love Temperley.
Yeah. But again, it's not. What I mean. It's like it's a Gucci, a Prada, all
they
these.
Don't.
They
There's not that many
exist.
of them.
They just don't exist in.
And
the
UK.
ones
that do probably don't manufacture here.
No, exactly. But all of the Italians look at us as style leaders.
Yeah, but it's funny. My husband is. I say this a few times. My husband's loves shoes, and we live in Northamptonshire, and we live very close to some amazing shoe manufacturers, and he'll often go and talk to them, and they all do private label for all of the big Italian luxury brands, and he has a lot of very expensive pairs of shoes, but he's a lot like you. He doesn't like labels. It's like understated, the quality speaks for itself, but in order for a lot of those businesses to thrive, they need to start having some direct to market, not just private labels, so that the margin can be built.
Exactly. So I used to own a shoe company in Northampton. And we're at the time we're having our shoes made by, I'm having a total mind blank. It's going to come back to me in 10 seconds by someone. And a bit like Buffalo, they were like Alfred Sargent. There we go. Remember
Did you know they went out?
I know. I was offered that business, and the Sargent family are lovely, but they felt guilty of the classic trap. A bit like Buffalo, you couldn't buy their product.
Yeah,
but they were making for everybody else on a wholesale margin, rather than beating the drum of saying we make the best shoes and we make for everybody else.
I was absolutely gutted when they went under.
Yeah, same.
Because they have some of the most amazing skilled craftsmen in there. But also, I remember when we first started the show, we were starting the catwalk. We went to them and asked them to make the shoes for the catwalk, and they did it as a favour. And then they gave them away. It's like, don't give them away. And we gave them trended as like, honestly, sell these yourself. Yeah. But they made the mistake of being tied into some wholesalers.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. And they were bought by a French company, and the French company opened a shop in the UK, rather than doing the logical thing of being proud and your shoes are being made by this company in England, open a shop in England for that company.
And that's a manufacturer 150 years.
Yeah. And I've been around that factory so many times, and so many pairs of their shoes, and
great shoes.
It's such a loss because I think the Sargent family were lovely.
Yeah, and I think Paul was lovely. But I think it's one of those things is that I think I did some research recently that said there's less than 400 manufacturers left in the UK. Yeah. And that's a travesty. So for us as a show, we're definitely going to be beating the drum for British manufacturers. But what do you think British manufacturing as a sector needs? I'm curious. I'm genuinely asking. I wasn't going to ask the question. I am now, though. What do you think it needs in order to help it start to really win business?
Can I name and shame another business?
Oh, absolutely, do it.
Wicked business, Albert Thurston in Leicester, which it's the only company in the UK making braces. They had the first transactional website in the UK.
Wow.
It hasn't changed since.
Okay.
The website has not changed since. You think of any film of anybody wearing braces. Michael Douglas in Wall Street is wearing Albert Thurston braces. James Bond in James Bond is wearing Albert Thurston braces. They're super, super cool. Every company in menswear, the formal menswear game, buys braces from Albert Thurston. But if you went onto their website, I promise you would be like, what on earth is this? And you will. And Paul Corbin, who runs the business, lovely guy. And you're like, oh, come on.
Yeah. Do you think it's because these businesses have been, like we're talking multi-generational family businesses, and do you think it's a matter of they're stuck in this is just the way that we've always done it?
Yeah, and fear of rocking the boat.
Yeah.
That, I guess that at some point, if the business is working, you're just like, well, why would I change it? Why do I need to change it?
Yeah.
Why do I spend £50,000 on a new website? Or why would I need to do it? Because everything's going okay, but it's not factoring in.
It's not looking at the future feedback.
Exactly, and sort of staying ahead of the competition, because there are other people making braces out in the world. It's not like they're 100% the best, and therefore the website should look like that. Everybody should know about them. We sell their products in our shops because they are the best.
Wow!
But we have them, co-branded, and they're amazing. But I also would like the brand to be in people's mind space a bit better.
Yeah.
And it starts from companies like that.
And even if you can imagine an Instagram feed of movie stars wearing their braces,
yeah, exactly.
That's all it would take.
Yeah,
so exactly. A little bit more.
Yeah, and I think it's cool.
Well, do you know what though?
Not wearing my braces today, but
no, not today. But also, braces are one of those quintessential items. Like they're not something that you will buy all of the time.
No,
you'll buy a few pairs and they last forever.
Yeah, they last, and they're just a nice thing to have in your wardrobe for if you're getting dressed up in your dinner suit, or putting on a morning suit to go to a wedding, or just simply want to look your best with your suit,
or
not with your buffalo clothes.
Or you can have a really good eating day and you don't want to wear a belt.
Yeah, exactly. Right, well, the suits you're not allowed to wear a belt, you see. This is an arrestable offence.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Not dinner suits anyway.
No.
Okay, I'm going to ask you one last question, because I feel like I'm possibly getting a bit too curious and this could go on for quite a while. Where would you like to see Buffalo in 12 months? What would your hope be?
To not run out of zips, to not run out of materials because we've sold too much and not bought enough, which has happened already.
Zips are an interesting one though, because they're difficult to find in the UK.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, they are.
I won't say any more than that.
And so when we bought the business, obviously we had, let's just say 5,000 zips in the business, and we sold 8,000 jackets, and we're 3,000 short and a 12-week lead time for zips. And so those are sort of teething problems, because obviously on the day we bought the business, we couldn't know to buy extra zips. And you've got to find workarounds. But I think that
has that been one of the biggest learning curves with this business?
No, it's not. It's not been a learning curve in the sense that obviously I'm in manufacturing. I know we have to have these constituent parts, but we've taken a very old-fashioned run business. And just trying to bring it into the modern world with digital pattern making and all this sort of stuff. And we've got Channel 5 are making a docuseries about us buying the business, which is super cool. So in 12 months' time, it could be a really different thing.
It's an amazing piece of visibility. I suppose it's one of the benefits maybe of working with Ben.
Unless we look rubbish on camera. Ben obviously looks all right, but I might look rubbish or come across as
right. Well, you know what? We all have fatish moments. Me
exactly.
too.
But we've got no editorial right on it. We can't watch it and say, "Oh no, can you take me out of that bit? I look like."
But you know what? Sometimes you need that. One of the things,
but it has to be real.
Yeah,
it has to be real.
And also just telling that story through somebody else's lens and how they see it. They're doing that to tell a story ultimately because they want to document the success of rebuilding a fantastic British band.
Yeah, exactly.
Not rebuilding, but just how we're going to secure it for the future.
Right, exactly. And I get such a kick. I get so many photos from people all over the world with our suit carriers that say Cad and the Dandy on. And they'll send a photo of me. I just saw a guy in Texas with your suit carrier, or a guy in Honolulu or whatever. And actually, I still get such a buzz when I see someone wearing a buffalo jacket or a buffalo hat. It's like, I'm a little part of that. It's a real nice kicker. So I'd like to have more of those feelings. I want more people to wear the jackets. I want more people to understand how fantastic Buffalo is.
I think there's always a moment when you are involved in any business or project and you get to a point and you realize, shit, it's really going to work.
Yeah.
And there's like this amazing little feeling on the inside that you get. It's like, actually, this is going to be good.
Yeah, exactly.
You must have that with Buffalo at the moment.
Oh, it's so exciting. I was out with the Special Forces a couple of weeks ago, being set through my paces and road testing some garment, but very much set through my paces, and then we go to the Cairngorms to sleep in snow. I'm having great fun doing it. And, when it is fun, everything is just, a bit more enjoyable. It's a little easier. You've got a spring in your step to go to work. You turn up earlier, you work late, and you work harder.
I don't think I could possibly end this podcast on a better note than that. It's fantastic. Look what you do. It doesn't feel like work. Thank you so much, James.
But I can have my coffee now.
You can go have your coffee. And there is no whiskey in it. Sorry to say.